For a great cup of joe, there's one thing you should know. Your morning brew can also be playful. Buff Boy Brewing guys make the temperature rise, and you surely feel naughty when you swallow our coffee. If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some more, rest assured. Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough of.
It's time for The Scribble, your weekly fix of celebrity chats, bizarre stories in the news, and basic random chatter with best-selling author and syndicated radio host Jeremy Bradley. Make sure your seat is in the upright and locked position and your barf bag is securely in place. Here's Jeremy Bradley.
Thank you very much, Larson. Jeremy Bradley here. This is The Scribble. We are coming at you live from Winnipeg, Manitoba, my hometown, where I'm at Club Regent Casino, and we are just moments away from talking with the legendary Kenny Rogers. That's right, he's performing a sold-out show here, and we are going backstage. We're going to be doing a meet and greet with him. There's a bunch of people here all waiting to get their picture taken with Kenny and shake his hand and have a few words with him, and then we're going to be chatting with Kenny once all of the, I say the riffraff, once everybody else settles into their seats, and the opening act, Ray St. Germain, local legend. Once he hits the stage, we'll be chatting with Kenny live here on the show, so don't go anywhere. Stick around for that. And we also, earlier in the day, tweeted to send in some questions for Kenny, and we will get to some of those. Hopefully, we'll get to as many of those as possible. So the legendary Kenny Rogers is standing by. We're standing by, waiting for him. We're going to get to things kicked off right after this.
Are you tired of commuting to a job that makes someone else rich, working harder than ever, but getting nowhere? Do you hate spending hundreds of dollars every week on daycare, having someone else raise your children? With our opportunities, you can start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss, work from home, and live a happier life. At Be the Boss Network, you'll find hundreds of work-from-home opportunities that you can literally start today and be earning money as soon as next week. Go to freedom41.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss. Get out of the rat race. Work from home. Go to freedom41.com right now and change your life today. That's freedom, the number 41.com. Go to freedom41.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You be the boss. Go to freedom41.com.
Jeremy Bradley here, back on The Scribble. Thanks for tuning in. We are standing by for Kenny Rogers. We are live here at Club Regent Casino in Winnipeg, Manitoba, my hometown. I should do it like the Americans do it. Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. Winnipeggers always kind of just go, yeah, we get what it is. It's in Canada. We know that. Thank you so much. And we are standing by. The crowd is gathering. The excitement is building for Kenny Rogers about to perform a sold-out show. Now, we're talking decades and decades. At least the 70s is when Kenny started out. And let's take a look at the awards that he's won. 1977 alone. Academy of Country Music Awards, Top Male Vocalist, Single of the Year for Lucille, and Song of the Year also for Lucille. Now, Single of the Year for Lucille also for the Country Music Association Awards, and then in 1978 with Vocal Duo of the Year with Dottie West. Now, Lucille also won Favorite Single at the 1978 American Music Awards as well. Now, the next big hit from there was The Gambler. You got to know when to hold them, right? And so at the 1979 Grammy Awards, Kenny Rogers won Best Male Country Vocal Performance. Then, skipping over to the Music City News Country, he won Male Artist of the Year and Single of the Year for The Gambler. 1979, again, big year for the Country Music Association Awards, where he won Male Vocalist of the Year, Vocal Duo of the Year again with Dottie West, and Album of the Year for The Gambler. Now, jumping to 1980, Favorite Country Album at the American Music Awards was The Gambler. 1981 American Music Awards, Favorite Country Album, The Gambler. You can tell that was kind of one of his big songs. Now, one of the other biggies, the year after I was born, in 1983, was Islands in the Stream, right, with our pal Dolly Parton, who was on our show not too long ago. She was a surprise guest. And so for Single of the Year in 1983 at the Academy of Country Music Awards, Single of the Year went to them. Top Vocal Duet with Dolly Parton again, 1983 at the ACMAs. And then favorite single in 1983 at the ASAP Awards. Not quite sure what an ASAP award is, but hey, you know what? An award is an award. Now then, in 2003, CMT's 100 Greatest Country Songs ranked The Gambler at number 26. And then in 2004, CMT's 100 Greatest Cheating Songs, Ruby Don't Take Your Love to Town was number 6. And then in 2005 at the CMT Music Awards, favorite all-time country duet, you got it, Islands in the Stream with Dolly Parton. We're standing by here live at Club Regent Casino, just moments away from talking with Kenny Rogers, the legend. Look at all these awards. I've only covered how many years? We've gone from 1970, where do we start? 1977 to 1983. So we've only jumped a few years, and look at all that he's won, okay? And of course, the awards continue right through to 2013 as well. Decades in music history, a legend in his own right. Kenny Rogers is coming up in just a few moments. We're back right after this on The Scribble.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. Speak Free with JB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
Continuing on here, The Scribble is live from Club Regent Casino in Winnipeg, Manitoba, my hometown. Always great to be home. You know, we're waiting for Kenny Rogers, who's just about to come out and do a meet and greet with his fans. Now, we were told that this is actually a larger group than he usually has for a meet and greet, so definitely a great turnout. You know, I was told by one of the staffers here that the show sold out in 2 days. 2 days. And it's quite a venue here at Club Regent Casino. It's a brand new entertainment center, and they have these seats. You know, when we did our radio shows, our syndicated radio shows in May, we toured Winnipeg, and we came here, actually. And when we were here, the floor was flat, and all of the seats and everything adjust, and it's all mechanical through the floor. So now, of course, there's seats for the entire theater, but when we were in the theater several months ago, it was completely flat, like it was like a dance floor. And so I was told that you could have community events here. There's been weddings and corporate functions, so definitely a multi-purpose room. If you are in Winnipeg or somewhere in Manitoba, or you plan to come to the area and you want a venue, definitely check it out. Now, standing by for The Gambler, Kenny Rogers himself. You know, The Gambler was an American TV show back in the day, 1980, I believe. I was talking to my mom the other day, and she went on about it, and it was on CBS. Oh, yes, premiered April 8th, 1980, and there were 4 sequels to the show. Rogers, of course, played Brady Hawks, and again, my mom knew that, and the movie, so it was just a really big, you know, he's an actor as well. He's not just a singer, he's an actor. One of the things, I was reading some of the reviews about his show before coming tonight, is that he's quite the storyteller. And so something that I was told that we can expect is he's going to just sit on a stool and he's going to tell you stories in between the songs. And that, to me, sounds even more interesting sometimes than hearing the actual song, because you're getting the background story, right? You're hearing where this song came from, or what it means to him, or why he performs it. So looking forward to some interesting stories. Now, again, follow along, and as you're listening to this, you know, the show might have already happened. So follow along. My tweets are at SF Celebwatch, at SF as in Speak Free, Celebwatch, SF Celebwatch. The crowd getting excited. You know, t-shirts, $35. There are counters and counters of bartenders here, and people are wearing some vintage Kenny Rogers clothing. So that always seems to be something that you do at a concert, right? When it's a music legend, somebody who spans decades, 70s, 80s, the 90s, you're going to wear that shirt from the very first Kenny Rogers concert you went to, or wherever you got that shirt from. There was lots of cowboy hats I saw in the lobby. So, yeah, certainly the meet and greet is something that the diehard fans are waiting for. We're going to take one more quick break, and when we come back, I think we might just have Kenny Rogers joining us here on The Scribble. Back in a moment.
We hear you chirping. Get scribbling. Tweet up the Scribble at The Scribble Show. Join the discussion with Jeremy Bradley. It's all going down right now on Twitter at The Scribble Show and at thescribbleshow.com.
Jeremy Bradley here, back on the Scribble. As we say on our syndicated radio shows, Top of the Charts, and our country music show, The Open Road, this show is live and anything can happen. We are standing by Kenny Rogers, just moments away from entering the meet and greet room with all of his fans. And, there's a group of 10 people here that all came in on a bus tour to see him. And the one great thing about being live here at Club Regent Casino in Winnipeg is that there's a hotel. It's a gaming facility, right? There's an entertainment. They've got the incredible shows that they have here. The caliber. Belinda Carlisle was just here. Winona was here. And even bigger names coming this fall. So definitely check out Club Regent Casino. Casinosofwinnipeg.com is the website address. I'm actually just outside of the meet and greet room right now. I just heard applause, so it does sound like Kenny is in there, and he's going to be shaking some hands and posing for some photos. And he'll also be doing a couple promos for upcoming shows. I was told that he'll be sitting there and getting a microphone on and doing promotions for upcoming shows, encouraging people to get tickets and check out the upcoming dates. Again, that's at kennyrogers.com, if I'm not mistaken. And again, he's on Twitter. It's at and then _ Kenny Rogers. So look him up on Twitter, and you can also follow along with my tweets at SFCelebWatch. I promise you we're going to have Kenny Rogers coming up in just a few moments' time. Feel free to shoot me an email. Would love to hear if you've ever been to a Kenny Rogers show. What did you think about it? jb@jbonair.com is my email address. jb@jbonair.com. There's going to be some sing-alongs, I'm told. There's going to be, hopefully people are going to be on their feet. Now, I'm not making fun, but it is a bit of an older crowd, but there's many generations of people. I'm 33. There's people my age. There's some people in their mid-20s, it looks like. And that's one thing that really it stands the test of time, this music and this Kenny Rogers personality, right? Because so many people will have one song. They don't even have enough songs to have a concert. They'll end up doing covers of other people's music, and it's just not their own. This is a guy who can do album after album after album on stage. He's just got that much music. So we're going to talk about his inspiration when writing music and performing and touring. He's still got the energy. He's got the fire. He was just saying earlier that, his legs are... he had knee replacement, and he thinks that maybe they replaced the wrong knee. So he was having some issues today, but he's going to power through, and that's a trooper, right? He's dedicated to the fans, and he's dedicated to having a good show and a great time for everybody who came out to see him. We're going to take one more break, and I'm told we are live with Kenny Rogers, I promise, right after this.
If you're diabetic, this message could change your life. Is your blood sugar out of control even when you do all the right stuff? Are you afraid of diabetic blindness and the risk of amputation, as well as all those other side effects? Well, you should be. Is there anything that could help manage your blood sugar? Nobetes is a natural supplement that may quickly and dramatically lower your blood sugar.
My name is Bob Corder. I've been using Nobetes for about 3.5 to 4 months now, and in the first 3 months, I've actually lowered my blood sugars from 500s down to 139, and then it dropped to 88 to 93.
My name is Kirsten. I'm a type 1 diabetic, and while taking Nobetes, my blood sugar levels dropped from 295 to 115 in just 1 day.
The FDA hasn't evaluated these statements, and Nobetes isn't intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. But for many, it's helped drop their blood sugar. So if you've been evaluated with high blood sugar, don't delay. Evaluate Nobetes now. Call 800-478-9568 and get your free bottle. Just cover shipping and handling. Call 800-478-9568. That's 800-478-9568.
Celeb spotting on the Scribble.
Jeremy Bradley here, live in Winnipeg, actually in the legendary Kenny Rogers dressing room. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, you're more than welcome. Thanks for taking the time to do this with me.
I just, this is legendary, decades of success. Can you sum up how that feels in one word?
Feels old. No, I really do. I think the thing that's helped me the most throughout my career is that I love what I'm doing. And I think that when you go out there every night, you have to have a reason for going out there. And my reason is that I really enjoy doing it. I enjoy the laughter. I enjoy the applause. And so I think that's what's kept me going.
So you say old, but does it ever get old? That's the thing, right?
Well, I think when it does, you change it up. So
yeah.
You bring in some, I'm fortunate to have had enough hits that I can bring in hits that I haven't done in a while. Mm-hmm. And it does change it up.
So how do you determine what you're going to perform for which cities? Do you change it up all the time to keep it fresh? What do you do?
I don't change it up a lot, except that we are in Canada, and I don't do some of the songs I would do in America that are more American flag-waving stuff. You guys would get real upset with me if I did that.
So over your decades of music, your styles have changed, right? You have some country, right? Some gospel as well. Is that you growing as an artist, as a person? Is it both?
You have to remember that I started my first 10 years in the music business. I was with a jazz group, a really bizarre avant-garde jazz group. And then I went to the New Christy Minstrels, which was folk music. And then the first edition, which was kind of rock. And you go into these groups and you learn a little from everybody you work with. And I've kind of put them together in such a way that it allows me to enjoy and appreciate more types of music. And it allows me to do with authenticity different music as well.
Mm-hmm. So the recording industry has changed over the past several decades. Now it's all computerized, right? And whether you like it or not, music, the sound has changed. So the last time that you were recording an album, was it different or much different from the first album you ever recorded?
Oh, it's totally different from the first album I
Well, so what's different?
Well, the first album I did on 2-track.
Right.
And they only had 2 tracks. And the last one I did was a new Christmas album I've just finished. And we have unlimited tracks and unlimited guests and instruments and things. That's the beauty of today's music. You can do that. You can load it up with sounds and people and then delete what doesn't add to it, what's just there for the sake of being there, and end up with some wonderful music.
We had a lot of questions sent in when we said we were going to have you on the show. So one of the questions that was asked was, what is your favorite song to perform of all time?
Of mine or just in general?
Either.
It's hard to say because, you end up doing them, gosh, I don't know. I mean, I love Condition. Just struck in to see what condition my condition was in because I think it's so unique and it represents another period in my music life.
And another question was, if you could duet or perform with an artist that you've never even met before, who would it be and what song would you perform? One of yours, one of theirs?
Well, I mean, I've spoken to several people about working in the future. And the problem is I found out you don't start with the artist. You start with the song.
Okay.
And then you say, who could do this well? I did a couple of duets on my Christmas album with Jennifer Nettles and one with Alison Krauss. And they're 2 totally different types of music. So you have to be selective in who you put over there with you to do them. And I think they were great choices.
Now, a very, very hot day here in Canada. Doesn't feel very Christmassy, if you see where I'm going with this, because Christmas is right around the corner and you've got the album, the tour. First off, what does Christmas mean to you? The holidays must be something special, right?
Well, when I was a kid, I was raised in the projects in Houston, and it was always important to my mom. Christmas meant a lot to her because it gave her a chance, as hard as she worked and my dad worked, to give the kids something that we could look forward to. So I think I carry that over. That's why I like doing Christmas tours and Christmas music, because it does represent a totally different side of me and my history.
So tell us about the album then. What some of the tracks? Any memories from recording those tracks too?
Well, I did a song on this album with a group called Home Free, and they're an a cappella group, and they are wonderful. And we did Children Go Where I Send Thee. Where shall I send thee? Right. And it's unusual. It's totally different from anything I've ever done before. And then I did with Jennifer Nettles, I did Baby It's Cold Outside, and she's great on that. And with, what's her name? Alison Krauss. I did a song with her that I just loved so much, and she brought so much to that song. She added so much authenticity that it made me fun, it made me excited about doing it.
Oh, I know. So now all of the dates they're on your website, right? All of their up to come.
Right, yes.
Yeah. What is the website address then? KennyRogers.com?
I would think so.
Yeah.
I don't go on there very often.
Okay. We also had a question that was sent in. It relates to technology as well. Who was the last celebrity you texted? I don't know. Do you text at all?
I think Serena Williams. We became not good friends, but we made an attachment when I went to see her at the U.S. Open. And she was so sweet to me, and she seemed so excited about meeting me that the other day I sent her a good luck message on the U.S. Open.
You know, you mentioned about being excited to meet people, and so you do, meet and greet before your performances. And I mean, there's so many different generations. My grandma, my mom,
right.
Me. Your music just spans generations. That's got to feel incredible as well.
It does, because you don't ever want to feel like you're from the past.
Yeah.
And I know that a lot of my songs are really dated, but they were big enough when they were out to have value today. And that's what I think you have to base it on.
So what is the secret then to having a song or even a career then that spans decades? Because we have, there's the term one-hit wonder. We've all heard of that. So what is it? Is it the genuine love for music like you do have? Is it the writers that are putting out the good music, together?
I think it's music selection. I do music that I love, and because I have such a diverse musical background, there are lots of musics I can do that other people can't do. And I love singing different songs, different styles, different types.
You mentioned that it's the music that comes first before an artist pairing then. So when you sit down to write a song, or does it just sort of come to you and say, okay, you know what, I'm gonna write because I'm just having a flow right now? How do you do it?
I don't write as much as I used to. I don't write 10% of my music because there are guys that do it every day, and they're so much more in touch with the music business. And they're much better craftsmen. Mm-hmm. So I just look for the best song. And if I get to write it, then I'm lucky.
I was going to say, so if these songs are coming to you, do you just have to get that gut feeling the first time you hear it or read it?
You listen to them. When I'm doing an album, I must listen to 30 or 40 songs a day. And you go through them pretty quickly. You know whether they're right for you, and you know whether the people will like them or not. So I think that's part of the gift, is being able to understand my audience and know that the things I do, I choose for them, and I really carefully think about it before I do it.
The music business, you mentioned it. I mean, it's also tough to make it big these days. If you were to give an up-and-coming artist, an aspiring artist, one piece of advice, what would it be?
Save your money. Pay your income tax as you go. Put 20% aside and don't touch it. Musically, I would say do music you love, because if you do music you love, you're more likely to find your audience, or your audience is more likely to find you than if you're just doing songs.
Well, thank you so much, and I'm going to go take my seat because you're going on stage in just a few minutes, so thank you so much for taking the time.
I'm excited about knowing somebody is going to be listening.
You've got a full house there. It's sold out. So good luck, break a leg, they say, and we'll see you on stage.
Don't tell me that. I may break my leg.
No. Thanks so much for joining us, Kenny Rogers. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
We hear you chirping. Get scribbling. Tweet up the Scribble at The Scribble Show. Join the discussion with Jeremy Bradley. It's all going down right now on Twitter at The Scribble Show and at thescribbleshow.com.
That's right, Larson. Our Twitter is at The Scribble Show, and like I've said a couple times earlier, when I was vamping, that's what we in the broadcast world call stalling for time, my Twitter is at SF, as in Speak Free Celebwatch, at SF Celebwatch. I can't tell you, just stepped out of the dressing room that Kenny Rogers is in. His band is next door. What an incredible man. Great talent, so charming. When we were walking into the dressing room, it was after me. He told me to have a seat before he sat down. So true gentleman, that Mr. Kenny Rogers. Again, KennyRogers.com for all those dates for the Christmas tour, as you heard him saying, that Christmas is a special time for him, and like it is for many other people. And so I think that also, too, really comes through in the performances, is that when you love the music that you're doing, as he said he does, it certainly does shine through and everybody else has a good time. So I've been promised some sing-alongs. I've been promised some stories. We're going to hear it all from Kenny Rogers coming up momentarily. Now, again, I do want to hear your favorite Kenny Rogers moments. If you've been to a concert, if you saw The Gambler, what's your favorite Kenny Rogers song? JB at jbonair.com. JB at jbonair.com. I've got my producer, Bonnie Winters, who's got my BlackBerry. She's going through those emails as they come in, and we're going to hopefully not get an official tally, but at least a general idea of what your favorite Kenny Rogers song. And I have a feeling, like when we were recapping all those awards that he's won, it might be The Gambler, it might be Lady, it might be Islands in the Stream with the legendary Dolly Parton as well. Dolly was a surprise guest on our show a couple years ago. And I had just got back from Florida. We taped our shows in Orlando. We were there at Disney and at SeaWorld. And, of course, Dolly has Dollywood. And she was a surprise guest. She was coming on to talk about her new DVD and CD that had just come out. And I thought, this is really funny. I'm going to mention the competition and see, is she going to hate me? Is she going to hang up the phone? But she invited me there. We were laughing, and I said, well, would you go on the rides with me? And she said, no, I've got too much to lose. My hair will fall off, and everything's going to do it. So I said, why don't we just walk around? Let's hold hands and just laugh at people. Let's just walk around. And she said, point at the fools. Actually, maybe I'm taking credit for her joke, but no, she said, let's just do that. And you can hear that interview at speakfreecelebwatch.com, speakfreecelebwatch.com. You have to scroll down quite a bit because it was, as I said, a few years ago. But the legendary Dolly Parton was also a hoot. I quizzed her. I didn't believe that it was her, so I put her on the spot and had her name a bunch of Dolly Parton songs, and sure as poop, she did it. The legendary Dolly Parton. Again, at speakfreecelebwatch.com. Bonnie is mouthing the words The Gambler to me, so it does sound like that's one of your favorite songs of Kenny Rogers. But again, like I said, that songbook that he has, many, many songs. Now, the interesting thing about a concert like this is that I'm not familiar with every Kenny Rogers song to begin with. I'll fully admit that. So I do know the big hits that we were naming earlier. And I think that I'm going to have a new appreciation because I've met the guy. Now I'm going to relate more to his music. That's just how I feel about it. Done a lot of celebrity interviews in my time. And once you do put a face and you can, handshake to it or whatever, a hug, you definitely do have a new connection. I can attest to that as well. So The Gambler ranking is one of your favorite Kenny Rogers songs. I should also chime in to say that we're in syndication right now on the radio as well. So thank you to our friends who are tuning in to Top of the Charts and the Open Road listening that just caught us with the Kenny Rogers interview there as well. So, big, we've got the Scribble, we've got Top of the Charts, the Open Road. Our Entertainment Wrap-Up show is at entertainmentwrapup.com. Again, you'll hear an abbreviated interview on entertainmentwrapup.com. And I'm on the air with Danny D in Great Falls, Montana on Star FM. You'll be hearing that Friday morning. We'll also be talking about the Kenny Rogers concert tonight here in Winnipeg. Again, it is Thursday for us, and when you're listening to this, it might be Friday. It might already be after the Labor Day long weekend, but thank you so much for tuning in to The Scribble. That's at thescribbleshow.com on SoundCloud and iTunes. We're 28 weeks into our show here, and we kicked things off with Jeff Probst from Survivor, Phil Kogan, host of The Amazing Race, both of those shows returning to CBS in the coming days. And I don't know if we don't have Jeff Probst, but I think we've got some returning contestants from Survivor who will be joining us in the next week or two or closer to the premiere. And Phil Kogan, host of The Amazing Race, a longtime friend of ours. He's been on the show every season. He's been on our radio shows, and he kicked things off on the Scribble here with episode 1. Shark Tank returning to ABC. Our second show, we did have we had Kevin O'Leary and Barbara Corcoran. Robert Herjavec was on our speakfreecelebwatch.com website. We have, I think it's the transcript, not the audio there. So lots of celebrity guests coming up. We sort of fizzled out in the summer months because they're not really out and about promoting anything. So we scaled back on the star power here on the podcast. Come September, with the new TV season right around the corner, we will definitely be having more celebrity guests, and I'm not even going to name drop right now because we're not expecting to have Kenny Rogers this week. I can tell you that it was a surprise that came to my attention less than 24 hours ago. I was told, you're going to Kenny Rogers, you're going to be live from the show, and a bit starstruck, I must say. I'll admit, going into it, hands were shaking a little bit as I'm holding the microphone, sitting there in the big comfy chair, talking to Kenny Rogers. It's almost a surreal experience. I really have to admit that. When I was at Betty White's 90th birthday party a few years ago, you've got Carol Burnett, Ed Asner, Gavin MacLeod, Mary Tyler Moore, all these TV legends. You almost have to pinch yourself because you're kind of sitting there going, I'm from the Canadian prairies. There's no way that I'm in Hollywood hanging out at Betty White's birthday. It cannot be happening. And sure enough, I was there. So definitely a little bit starstruck. I'll admit, starstruck to meet Kenny Rogers. Go to our website, actually, thescribbleshow.com, and we've got those pictures already on there as well. thescribbleshow.com, Kenny Rogers and me hanging out in his dressing room here at Club Regent Casino in Winnipeg. I've got to say thank you to everybody who has made this show possible. Kenny's team at Webster PR and Gene, his great colleague that is touring with Kenny. So thanks to everybody who made this show possible, and thank you for tuning in. Again, my email address, jb@jbonair.com. jb@jbonair.com. Follow my tweets from Thursday night's concert at SF Celebwatch. SF as in Speak Free Celebwatch. And again, you can't go wrong following the Scribble Show podcast. That's at the Scribble Show on Twitter, at the Scribble Show. All right, well, you know what? We are out of time. Thank you to everybody who's tuned in on SoundCloud, iTunes, and at thescribbleshow.com. My name is Jeremy Bradley. I will talk to you same time, same place next week. Bye-bye, everybody.
Want more Scribble? Check out thescribbleshow.com for past shows, celebrity interviews, cheapskate tips, and more. That's at thescribbleshow.com and on Twitter at The Scribble Show. The Scribble is a speak-free media presentation.
If you want some real heat, give your mouth the